let's go over how to create migration waves using the modelizeIT tool. As we see, we already have 22 affinity groups created. Now let's head on over to Move Waves. As we see, we don't yet have any waves created, so let's hit Identify. Here, we're going to set wave start date to January 3rd, 2027. That's when we expect the first wave to occur. Here in the phases template, we're going to choose how every wave is going to look. So currently we just have one phase, the migration phase. Let's make it a little more granular. First, let's add a cutover phase. We're going to name it cutover. And let's change the color to be a little bit darker, just to indicate that we should give more attention to this phase. And we'll make it 1 day. In addition, let's also add a hypercare phase. And let's make it 3 days. And also, let's add a plan phase. Now, let's just hit Identify and see what it creates. So as we see, this isn't very interesting. It basically just put all the affinities in one wave, right? So let's fix that. Let's hit Identify again. This time, let's add a constraint. We're going to set n-affs, which is just the number of affinities, to be less than 4. N-affs is based on a rule that was already created. We'll show you later how you can create your own rule. So let's hit Identify again. Now, we can see that multiple waves were created, and each one follows this rule. But now let's suppose you have a blackout date. That is a date where you can't actually have a migration going on at that time. So let's actually hit Add. And let's call it Blackout. We're going to make it a week long. And let's also call this Blackout. Let's move it to, let's say, February 14th. So this is saying that the week of February 14th, we can't have any migrations going on. Now, when we head back to Move Waves, we'll see it's present, but currently there's still a wave at that time. We'll actually have to hit Identify again. And as we can see, the rule was followed. All of the waves were created around that blackout date. Let's now go over how to create our own rules. So we're going to head on over to Rules and hit Add. And we're going to call this one Complexity. So complexity is going to depend upon the number of nodes and the number of instances. So we'll do +5 for every node, and we'll see that we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to go to hit Add again. We're going to do this for instances as well. We're going to do +1 for every instance. In addition, let's create another rule that accumulates the total amount of storage that the nodes are going to be migrating. So let's call it total storage. And it's going to be in gigabytes. So in the value field, we're going to put plus @cp fs GB. And in the condition, we're going to put @cp @node. So now when we go back to Move Waves, we're going to hit Identify again. And this time we're going to edit the constraints. So let's remove the existing one. Let's add a new one. This one is going to do, it's going to limit the complexity, let's say to 150. We're also going to limit the total amount of storage per wave. We're going to do, let's say, 1 terabyte. And in addition, we're going to add one more constraint. So we can actually edit the deadline or a minimum date for specific objects, right? So in this case, we have some Windows 2003 nodes, and we want to prioritize those. So we're going to set a deadline for those. Let's type in @node OS description. And we're going to put in a little regex here, .star Windows .star 2003 .star. And we're going to ensure that this comes, let's say, before maybe February 1st. And let's hit identify. So as we see, we are still following the blackout date from earlier, and we're limiting the total amount of storage transferred per wave to 1 terabyte, and the complexity of each is around 150 or less. And within the contains, we'll see that all Windows 2003 machines, here we have Windows 2003, are before that February 1st cutoff. Suppose that our constraints list only restricts the total complexity per wave. In this case, the limit is 140. We might run into a bit of an issue. When we inspect what is contained within each migration wave, we'll see that a lot of production affinities are being migrated before their dev counterparts. So here we see that this affinity, the production version, is being migrated before the dev version right here. Let's hit identify again. The modelizeIT wave planning tool can help model this dependency. In the environment dependencies field, we can input dev, prod. This time, when we open the contains lists, we'll see that for every single prod affinity, the dev affinity will have been migrated first. In order for this to work, the applications and affinities have to follow a certain format. Let's go to Business Apps, MIT AJ app as an example. We'll see that this application actually contains both of the dev and the prod version. So let's hit the prod version. And the prod version is contained by both the affinity and the application. Don't worry though, this format will automatically be created when you import the applications.